I ain't gonna say Kevin Patullo has an easy job. I'm not about to troll and say that. But it's not like this man is working with ramen noodles. I mean, he has a five-star meal right here. He got Jalen Hurts. He got Saquon Barkley. He's got Jeff Stoutland, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Cam Jurgens, Mekhi Becton, hopefully. He's got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. Oh my gosh, that is the Avengers. So I'm looking at this, and Kevin Patullo, you got that offensive coordinator position with the Eagles. You're with your best buddy in Nick Sirianni, and y'all been locked in since '09. Y'all been working together for 8 years. Look, just don't get in the way. Do not get in the way. It's that simple. And I look at this, right? Brian Johnson did not have a good year last year. We can all agree on that. But Brian Johnson still won 11 games. And that was based off the offensive talent essentially overcoming bad coaching. I don't think Kevin Patullo will be as bad as Brian Johnson, but I will say this in Brian Johnson's defense. If Brian Johnson had Saquon Barkley and the number one defense in the league, do I think the Eagles do the same exact thing this year with Brian Johnson? I do. Because they won 11 games with a bottom four defense last year without Saquon Barkley. Now again, Brian Johnson isn't somebody that I look at and be like, he's Sean McVay. He's Kyle Shanahan. And Kevin Patullo, I mean, we don't know yet, but it's probably safe to say he's not Kyle Shanahan. He's not Sean McVay. He's not Andy Reid. I think that's safe to say. But if I believe that Brian Johnson with this Eagles roster would produce the same results. You had A.J. Brown with 1,400 yards. You had Devontae Smith with over 1,000 yards. You had DeAndre Swift with over 1,000 yards and a Pro Bowl. Just saying. And the reason why the Eagles had that collapse last year, it wasn't because of the offense. The offense wasn't perfect, but it's because you had Matt Patricia as your DC after that 49ers game, and we saw the defense get tremendously bad. Like, they became the worst defense in the league from that 49ers game and so on. Like, they were flat out terrible. And I'm not saying, again, the offense was perfect, that it was the solution, but it wasn't the biggest problem, is what I'm trying to say. So that's what that is right there. And so I bring this back to Kevin Patullo, and I say, do I think he'll be as bad as Brian Johnson? No, I don't. But if I think that Brian Johnson would produce the same results as Kellen Moore, then Kevin Patullo, all he's got to do is be competent with all these weapons, and he'll be all right. He'll be all right. So part of this is the belief in Jeff Stoutland. Because as long as Jeff Stoutland is over the offensive line and is over the run game, that's going to be elite. Those two units are going to be elite. We know that. He has a proven track record. That's what it is. Jalen Hurts is going to have his 12th play caller in 10 seasons when you combine the NFL and college. He's shown that year by year, he improves, and he improves. And in a league where certain guys like Patrick Mahomes and Jared Goff, they've had consistency, and I'm not trying to compare Mahomes and Goff, but let's be honest, Patrick Mahomes, he's always had Andy Reid. He's always had Andy Reid. So it's not been something where he's had to change play callers. I know he's had Eric Bieniemy and Matt Nagy, but this is Andy Reid's thing. We all know that. And with the guy in Jared Goff, he had Sean McVay calling plays for him. And then he goes to the Lions and he got Ben Johnson calling plays for him. That's some consistency and some pretty elite consistency right there. And so I'm looking at this and I'm saying we got to give Jalen Hurts props that he's always cooking up 5-star meals no matter who he got as his OC. It could be Brian Johnson. He starts off the season 10-1. And it was only because of that defense as to why they had that collapse. You talk about with Shane Steichen. This man had Shane Steichen for a year and a half because in his first year as a starter, it was Nick Sirianni as the play caller. And then halfway through the year, Shane Steichen took over. So essentially for a year and a half, Jalen Hurts had an OC for multiple years, or like just over a year essentially, and he became an MVP candidate. Think about that. Just think about that. I will say it again. In Jalen Hurts' career, he became an MVP candidate when he had a offensive coordinator consistent for just a year and a half. That's damn impressive. Damn impressive. So when I look at Kevin Patsullo, I say, hey, bruh, all you got to do is not get in the way because we have guys on this Eagles roster that are so talented and have a proven track record to continuously get it done, no matter who is calling plays, and be able to still rise above and be like, hey, I don't care who calling plays. I'm on the field. I'm making things happen. It's Devontae Smith, one-hand catch. It's Saquon Barkley jumping over folks backwards. It's A.J. Brown, doing that LeBron James celebration in New Orleans. I saw that jump up close in person. It was a beauty to see. It's Jalen Hurts against the Rams in the playoff game going for a 44-yard touchdown to the crib to start the game off and set that tone. You got Dallas Goedert out here, stiff-arming folks. Get off me. You want some more? Get off me, man. And showing that it's levels to this stuff. So this Eagles offense, they got so many playmakers. You gotta just have Madden level competence to mess it up. And I'm interested to see the dynamic between Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patsullo because they've known each other since 2009. They've worked with each other for 8 years. But we also have to note this. I'll say this before I get to the Myles Garrett stuff, and I'm going to end with this Shedeur Sanders disrespect, which is kind of pissing me off. We also have to note, during the bye week, after the Eagles went 2-2 and the season was looking like it's going to be a disappointment, the offensive line, they went to Nick Sirianni and they said, yo, we want to make this offense more run-oriented and to lean on the offensive line. And since then, they were flat out dominant and lost one game. And that one game was when Jalen Hurts had a concussion and you had Kenny Pickett in the game. That reminds me, I'm going to talk about Kenny Pickett at the end of this episode too. But this just goes to show you, bro, like, hey, bruh, Nick Sirianni has great self-awareness and he's still going to be the man that he might not be calling plays, but it's still going to be his offense. And I think we do have to give him credit for this offense, seeing that NFL film, seeing that he's the guy that gave the okay and pushed for Devontae to get that go ball up the seam or whatever and go ahead and make it 34-zip and ice the game essentially, right? So it's great. It's great to see. And ultimately, man, like, I'm interested to see just how this all works, but I got great confidence in this squad. All right, cool. Miles Garrett to Philly. So AJ Brown said in a dream scenario, he would love for Miles Garrett to be on the Eagles. And for Miles Garrett to play with Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, that would be lethal. That would be lethal. Now, if I'm Howie Roseman, I'm definitely inquiring about this. Like, I feel like every team should inquire about Miles Garrett. If you're a GM and Miles Garrett is asking for a trade and you don't inquire about it, you should be fired. So I think Howie Roseman is definitely doing his due diligence, and he'll scope the scenery out, and he'll try to see, all right, like, what can I do? What finesse can I make? But I will tell this to Howie Roseman. If acquiring Miles Garrett comes at the cost of trading any Georgia Philadelphia Bulldog, it is a no. No, no, no. No for Nolan Smith. No for Jordan Davis. Hell no for Jalen Carter. We already know that. No for Nakobe Dean. No. Because the Philadelphia Georgia Bulldogs, they got a special bond together. And they all support each other. So let's just say you trade Miles Garrett for Nolan Smith and like 2 first-round picks or a first and a second. You're leaving Jalen Carter without his freaking dog. His dog in Nolan Smith. And yes, Miles Garrett is elite. He's amazing. But let's not act like, the organization trading away your freaking homeboy that's been in the trenches with you since college won't affect you. If I'm Jalen Carter, I'll be like, dang. Because it's also the mental side of the game. You see the respect that Jalen Carter has for Nolan Smith. And they've developed that for years. That's why it was so genius for Howie Roseman to draft those Georgia Philadelphia Bulldogs, because they already have championship pedigree with each other. That is what it is. If it comes down to Jalen Hunt, and he's had a phenomenal postseason, and he is way ahead of schedule, all right, like, I can think about it. I think that is, all right, we're getting somewhere there. And honestly, it's not any disrespect to Jalen Hunt. I think if you're going to trade for Miles Garrett, you're going to have to give up a valuable piece in Jalen Hunt, right? But them Georgia Bulldogs, nah. Sorry there. And that's what it is, bro. That is what it is. I want to get back to Jalen Hurts real quick, and I want to talk about this. One thing that I can really respect with Jalen Hurts this season was how he did against the blitz. Remember against that Buccaneers game? Bro, remember it was that Buccaneers game, and the Eagles, they got blown out, and Jason Kelce said, yo, if you're like that, you essentially want more blitzes because people are going to test you. And what happened? Hurts got in the lab, got better against the blitz, and I'm looking at these stats. He had a 66 completion percentage against the blitz, 9 touchdowns to 1 interception, and a 115 passer rating, which is 6th in the NFL. Excluding the Super Bowl, in the playoffs, he was 15 for 24, 210 yards, a touchdown, no picks, and a 104 passer rating against the blitz. So we're seeing a guy that flat out locked in and improved on an element in his game that needed improvement, that needed work. And we know moving forward, he's going to improve. He's not the best with anticipation. He's not the best with avoiding sacks sometimes. I believe he will get in the lab and get better. What did he say? That Super Bowl loss, it changed his soul. That's what he said. And I firmly believe that's true. And so we're going to see that from Jalen freaking Hurts. And I definitely got to give him that props because people not talking about that, man. Jason Kelce was the guy last year that was calling out protections. This year, it was Jalen Hurts. And he was making all these checks for Saquon Barkley to go off. He shot that little you mean to A.J. Brown for that go ball. You feel me? And so he was a general out there. He was surgical with it. And I could argue this, and some of y'all might be mad, but it's pure facts. Pre-snap, I like Jalen Hurts over Patrick Mahomes. Pre-snap. Post-snap, it's night and day. It's Patrick Mahomes. But pre-snap, Jalen Hurts has shown to be better than Patrick Mahomes, bro. Really think about it, bro. Because pre-snap, I don't see Patrick Mahomes checking. I see Patrick Mahomes have Andy Reid, who's the best play caller ever, and we saw in the Super Bowl, he did not change his fastball. Patrick Mahomes at the line of scrimmage. He couldn't. He had nothing else to do. No comeback, no left hook, no changeup, nothing. Hurts, he had a whole bunch of changeups, there. I stand on that. This ain't saying Hurts better than Mahomes. But pre-snap, I like Hurts over a lot of quarterbacks. Probably the only guy that I say is better is that guy in freaking Joe Burrow. But outside of that, Jalen Hurts is top 3 in pre-snap reads and all that stuff. My last thing, bro, I'm going to talk about Shedeur Sanders. This Shedeur Sanders disrespect is why when black quarterbacks accomplish things and we say first black quarterback X, Y, and Z, he becomes the black quarterback to do this and join this company with the Doug Williams or Russell Wilson or, Jalen Hurts, whatever the case may be. And they ask, well, why are you trying to bring color into it? Because they do stuff like this. They say, it bothers me that Shedeur Sanders needs to be a celebrity quarterback. His dad's Deion Sanders. What you mean he wants to be a celebrity? He's been one since he was a kid. He's been famous since he was a kid. What are we talking about, bro? But they always do this stuff. And then I see this report that says Shedeur Sanders isn't the type of quarterback the NFL is looking for. I never hear this about his counterparts. I never hear this stuff, bro. And they did the same thing with Justin Fields pre-draft, and they was enamored with Zach Wilson and his combine. What's Zach Wilson doing? And I ain't saying Justin Fields is this like amazing freaking quarterback, but I'm like, the language that they use to discredit us, discredit people that look like me, a lot of these black quarterbacks, is why when they accomplish these things and they go ahead and defy the odds in certain aspects, we have to say, man, oh man, I'm giving you props because you overcame hurdles that your counterparts don't have to go ahead and overcome. And as long as I got Real Talk with MJ, like y'all know, we always keep it real. We are going to speak truth to power. We are going to keep it real, not sugarcoat anything, and flat out tell y'all the real talk. And I firmly believe that if Shedeur Sanders led college football in completion percentage with a suspect offensive line, come the NFL, he's going to be nice. And I hope, and I pray actually that the Giants listen to these reports and they're like, we're not going to go after Shedeur Sanders because I don't want to face Jayden Daniels and Shedeur Sanders twice a year. That's 4 times. I'm cool off that. Go to Tennessee. Go to the Browns. Go to the Raiders. Do any of those. Please. So, matter of fact, Giants, listen to this. But everybody else, chill out. Chill out. Chill out. Chill out. Come on. It is Real Talk with MJ, where y'all know I'll always keep it real. We're speaking truth to power. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. We out.